We're going to discuss briefly about taxation of royalty versus service income, particularly as they relate to performers and entertainers. There are a couple of different ways that a performer, fighter, entertainer can get paid. One of the ways is via service income, another way is via royalty income. What's the difference from a legal or practical perspective between those two types of income? Royalty income is income that's generated by allowing a an advertiser or a business to use your likeness or image, whereas service income is generated in exchange for services that you perform. Take, for example, Conor McGregor. If he allows an MMA gym to use his image in their marketing, that would likely get him a royalty fee. However, let's say Monster Drink wants Conor to wear shorts with their logo on it while he's fighting, that would likely be considered service income. What is the difference between royalty and service income? What's the practical difference? So, royalty income is taxed based on where the image is going to be used, whereas service income is taxed based on where the services are performed. So, take, for example, a US fighter that is fighting in another country, yet they're paid to wear a particular logo on their shorts. Which is it going to be? Is it going to be considered royalty or service income? And which one is going to be better for the fighter? So if it's considered service income, then since the fight is not in the United States, then there would be no US taxes on that service income. However, the IRS might argue that since the fight, assuming the fight is broadcast around the globe, including in the United States, it would argue that the player's image, the fighter's image, is important to the advertiser, and therefore, at least a portion of it related to the United States broadcast is royalty income and therefore taxable in the United States. Let's take a related but different example. Rather than a US fighter fighting in another country, what about a foreign fighter fighting in the United States? Taking the same advertiser, Monster is paying them to have their logo on the fighter's shorts. What would be the scenario over there? Royalty income, service income, who would argue what? Since the image is broadcast around the world, the fighter would likely argue that at least part of the income is not subject to US taxes, a royalty payment essentially, based on his image. Now, the IRS likely would argue that no, the service occurred within the United States, and therefore it is service income subject to US income taxation. Is a fighter generally able to determine and state essentially what type of income it is, and the IRS would follow suit? No. The IRS would look at the facts and circumstances surrounding the payments, and they would attempt to determine based on the contract in large part, as well as on the facts and circumstances, to determine what type of income it is. What are some takeaways over here? The contract should clearly specify what portion of the monies paid to the fighter or entertainer are for using the celebrity's name and likeness versus what portion is used for services performed, assuming that there's payment for both of those. Another takeaway is if the celebrity's name and likeness is going to be used both within and outside of the United States, the contract should describe and expressly allocate payments among both the United States as well as the foreign countries. If not, the IRS would likely argue that all of the payments are U.S. source income. Here's a disclosure. This information is for general purposes only. Do not rely upon it for taking a tax position. Contact your tax or legal professional for specific advice, since each situation has unique characteristics. Thank you for watching. If you have any specific questions and would like to speak to a CPA, you can reach us at wandercpa.com, or you can call us at 323-282-7451 or email info@wandercpa.com.